All right, good Friday morning. I'm already on to afternoon. That's a clue. For Friday, March 11th, 2022. This is episode number 41 of the Low Code Campfire. I'm your host, Dale Warner, head of support for Plantin App. We're probably going to continue talking about spring cleaning and whatever else you want to talk about. This is an event we do for the community every Friday, 10 a.m. Central Standard, and it's just an opportunity to get together, talk about what you've got going on, get some help from some compatriots. Oftentimes, this is like a steering committee for various projects that are going on within your organizations, and we're happy to have this be a forum. So all skill levels welcome, and all these episodes are recorded, at least the first half. And so you can catch those on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/PlantinApp. Make sure you subscribe and set the alarm bell on that so you see everything we publish. Our agenda is pretty loose. We say hi, and then around the campfire, we'll do first call and look at contributions to our community, our in common website, the Campfire website. And then we will talk about some feature requests or submitted topics or open mic. And then after a while, we go into afterglow. We'll turn off the recording. It's more social. You can have a cup of coffee or whatever, and just generally talk about anything else you want to talk about that you don't want recorded. So engage. This is a meeting format. Jump in, show us, tell us. You can share your screen, whatever. Main guideline is that you mute if you've got noise behind you, and this has been a very friendly group, very courteous. You can submit questions and topics in advance. You can do it with that QR code, or you can do it in the invitation that we put out. And I finally figured out how to put it in the reminder that you just got. It took me more time than I'd like to care to admit, or figure out where Zoom hides that stuff. And then before we go into hello, I'll just admit that I panicked just a little bit today because trying to get into Zoom, I was bumping into a reCAPTCHA error for about 15 minutes. And so I wasn't sure we were going to even have a meeting today. But with that, I'll say hello. Welcome all.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, everyone.
Hey. Okay, so Campfire, first call. What's on your mind? What you got going on? Someone with an issue, a question, a comment about how well Patrick did on Wednesday at the cafe. We like constructive feedback.
I thought Patrick did a great job at the cafes. I learn every time. And I do have a first call question.
Perfect. Jump in, please.
I'm having trouble with IMAP triggers, trying to move from the POP3 connection to an IMAP connection, in that my IMAP triggers okay, but then the filters of finding the most recent message don't seem to work. It goes and processes everything in the mailbox and finds things.
Okay. Well, good. So it sounds like you got through the first half, which tends to be more difficult. Are you, by any chance, using some form of a Google/Gmail account?
I am.
Okay, because that's where we've run into a lot of issues. Where I run into a lot of issues with security. And so getting past that, but then within your account, I think there's a spot where you can say start at, and this will be the Gmail account, say start that on a particular date. Have you found that part in settings?
No, in the Gmail account, or I saw something in there in setting up the trigger that said start on a particular date, and
right. Yeah,
went through and said, okay, let me put a date in the future because it was going through everything. And there's a little checkbox that says only respond to new messages and it'll ignore the date. And I tried that.
So in Google settings, there's a see all settings section, and there's a forwarding POP and IMAP. And I believe in here, there's a spot to say that. Enable. No. I really thought I was going to just jump in here and point to it.
Well, I would have been happy if you'd done that.
For all mail that arrives from now on, enable. Okay. Yeah, so here it is for POP. So that's one thing. So this is interesting. I've got I mean, interesting to me, right? I've got an issue with my service desk with POP right now, and I hadn't gotten a chance to resolve it yet. So I thought it might be worth just bringing up so we can see the settings and maybe figure out my problem and yours. So what I find is that from time to time, Google seems to reset my my security settings. I'll be going along receiving emails. Let's see, I'm going to jump out here to my inbound emails. Since I started tracking these, I've gotten 26,000 emails in, and so my problem is trying to weed through what's important, what's not, and so I have a nice engine behind this to figure out what something I actually need to correspond with, and we're going to turn those into cases. Patrick is helping me do that, but from time to time it'll just stop, and so I haven't gotten any emails from February 21. So the trigger is in our automation section. Inbound email handler, and I have a failure shown, but we can at least edit and take a look at what you're looking at. So we've got an IMAP trigger, and so you have to give it credentials, and here's the start date. So you're saying you're putting a start date. You tried a start date in the past, in the future. What have you tried here? You're on mute, Jim, if you're still asking.
Bumped the wrong button. Yes, I have started with it in the past. I did initially said, okay, go run through the option there to run through all mail on the existing or first run. I did that initially, and then it turned that off, and then it's still searching. I have filters down below I'm not taking every email. And then I put the trigger only for new email. So once I create it, receive a new email that matches the filter, the trigger fires, but then as it scans, it goes through the entire mailbox again and will save all the attachments from all emails that match the filter going back. So like I look and it'll save them fine and rename them. And just now I have, Excel file A with parentheses 1, 2, 3. I'm up to 8 or 9 now because I, tested it about 9 times. It keeps renaming the files.
So your sense is that it's ignoring the start date.
Well, it's ignoring the start date. It is not resetting the start date, which is something I saw in POP, that if in POP it would rewrite the start date in there after each run, like the last time. So I tried putting a date into the future, and
have you? I assume you're trying to trigger on something that's already in your box. Have you used this for new emails setting?
Right. I want to receive, as a new email comes in that matches a set of conditions, I want to save that file off and then
Okay.
fire off a workflow on it. And instead it's saving, 8 or 10 files that are old and firing the workflow on all of them.
So I don't have any experience with not being able to get it to ignore past. I have been able to just get it to work from a given start date. On mine, I'm going to take a look at what this failure is. Updating listeners. That is, so I'm just going to save it and take a look at my history. And Delta authenticate. See, this is different problem where Gmail seems to lock me out until I go back in and tell it it's okay. So unless anybody else has any experience with this, I'll just have to promise to look into it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to play with it some more, and if I will put a case in if I.
Good. That's all.
I haven't used it before. I was looking for the you got to check this box option.
Yep. So have you tried to recreate the trigger?
I have. But I will give it another try, and I believe I copied the automation process over from the POP and then removed the trigger and added it in. I may just create the automation process from scratch and see if that does it. That result.
Yeah, I would expect, just recreating the trigger sometimes finds its way through issues. So now this makes me crazy. I'm not seeing it. Security used to be the thing, the app that we're looking for. Oh, there it is, account. We'll try that. Security, signing in, third-party apps. No, that's not it. Well, all right, I thought I could just jump to it. It's in here. It's in here in security someplace, and it's really kind of annoying trying to find your way through Google to tell it it's okay to let them look at your mail, but I will not let you see me flounder around anymore. All right, we are still on first call for somebody else.
Yeah, Dale, this is Mark. Unfortunately, I'm not able to comment on what Jim's asking about, but in your situation where Google just plain stops forwarding stuff to you,
Yes.
I have seen that before, and I have read up on it, and I got some advice that says that Google needs to see you interact with the account occasionally. The word is occasionally. And so if you let several months go by, and the amount of time, unfortunately, is not documented, I found references that say a vague amount of time, like periodically, but there's no number. And so you just have to log in and check your mail, physically do that yourself manually. And I don't know how often, but occasionally. And if you do that, then they'll stop shutting you down.
Well, and that's interesting in that I I live in the Google, I have Gmail up all the time and on that account, so I don't know why that would be.
Well, then it probably wasn't what I'm talking about then, but that's something that I sure experienced several times.
Yep, cool. Yeah, maybe if I figure it out, I will let you know. All right. Cool. What else? All right. I'm going to go to the next slide then. What do we have? We have a contribution, which is Mark provided. Let me demonstrate a nice technique. This is how to slide a form open instead of the typical blink into existence. So if we go to that contribution, you don't even have to read all this stuff to see this happen. You hit regular form open and you have, it appears. Regular form close, it disappears. You have the slide down open. And I don't know how nicely that shows over Zoom, but it's just really nice and smooth. Out of curiosity, Mark, if there was something below that on the page, would it just kind of push it down? You're muted.
Yes, it pushes it down.
I think that's beautiful. So any comments about how hard this technique is to?
Oh, it's really easy. It's just really a little bit of JavaScript or jQuery. I combine it with, you know, I have a situation where I've got an upper form that stays open all the time and then multiple lower forms that I want to swap in and out. And so when I'm opening a lower form, I let it slide in like that. And at the same time, I'm sliding up or closing the other form that I had open down there. So it's a real smooth transition from one form to another.
So, you know, I just like to play here.
That's the way I spelled sometimes.
Sure. Yes, that is so slick.
So this was actually Jim Everett who put me onto this. I asked the question last Friday, you might remember. Jim had a good idea. So in the form settings, in the initialization scripts, I do a little bit of jQuery that just plain hides the form.
Mm-hmm.
So it opens hidden. And then once it's finished opening, or I say once it's finished initializing, at the bottom of the on init stack of actions, there's a simple JavaScript run code that says unhide, but in the unhide, it's the option of slide down.
Mm.
So it opens hidden and then it reveals sliding down.
Very nice. So for anyone who is not already part of this, this is campfire.plantanapp.com, and anyone who attends this can get access into it and be able to make contributions. And the idea is that when we come up with these techniques, that we have them in a place and we're sharing them so that others can take advantage of them. So there's a great number of them. Well, a great number. I call 23 a great number. It's a good start, and you can see them rather than just something that you can read about. You can actually see them in action and look at the code behind them. That's the idea. So if you don't have access and want access, you're welcome to get on the chat. Let me know what email address you'd like to add, and I'll add that in. Cool.
Yeah, thanks, Dale.
Thank you for doing that. Moving on, elimination of obsolete features. That's one that we talked about on Wednesday, and there's some, we're going to be talking more about adopting Bootstrap 5. So that's Those are things that we can get into. First of all, on the obsolete features, yep, I'll get you in there, Augusto. Let me put the chat, the link for that on the chat. I think we've linked to it from other places within our documentation, but that's it's always in the, it's currently in the next state. So important note, documentation, important notes, obsolete features. And we've updated this recently just to say it's got the same information it's had before, but we also updated it to say what kind of migration is going to happen and what we recommend that you do. So for example, in the create list from CSV file, we recommend that you switch to the create list from CSV action. I love it when I call out my typos. And so that I'm sure jumped down to the pop email triggers that Jim was just talking about. It's a manual migration you have to convert to using an IMAP trigger. So this is telling you where we're going and at what pace, when it be. We obsolete things, when we're going to remove it, and when we actually remove it. And I think we covered on Wednesday that we're not actually, when we say remove, we're removing your ability to activate those in the future. So when we get to version 120, for example, you won't be able to create a new create list from CSV. It's going to be pushing you towards the new action, but the old one will continue to exist for a while. And so that gives you the chance to migrate over and keep new people from using the ones we're about to get rid of. Questions on a particular obsolete feature or as a whole? You guys are quiet today. Okay, where are you going for, what are you doing for the weekend? Adopting Bootstrap 5. Has anybody given this a try yet?
Not yet, Dale, but let me see. Plant an app is going to be removing support for Bootstrap 3 in the near future, right? That is the plan?
Yes, near-ish.
Eventually, over time. Okay, so any custom skin or any third-party skin installed in a website that also have installed Plan an app will require that to also migrate or redesign the skin to use Bootstrap 5. Otherwise, some incompatibilities will probably arise, right? I'm asking this because we are using Plant an App on premise. It's installed on our website. So I would like to fully understand the impact of this moving forward.
So yes, one of the things that we're doing is changing our strategy under Bootstrap 3. We used to load Bootstrap as we were displaying our forms and grids and elements, unless you told us not to. We had a checkbox that says don't do that. Under Bootstrap 5, we're going to the responsibility to load Bootstrap 5 is outside of Plant an App. It's for the page, the theme to load. So if you currently have a Bootstrap 3 theme and it doesn't, you'll need to look for or change it over to a Bootstrap 5 theme. I think that's the question you were asking.
Yeah, we've been starting to look at this, and we tend to build all our skins ourselves. So we're already in a situation where we have the skin is Bootstrap 4 and Plant and App is Bootstrap 3, and we load both. So you would be able to continue to use a Bootstrap 4 skin as long as you also load Bootstrap 5, but then scope it to the elements on the page that are Plant and App. At the moment with the Bootstrap 3, all of the Plant and App modules are within a Bstrap 30 tag, or they're in a class, a div that uses that class. So the Bootstrap that's loaded by Plant and App is scoped to only affect elements that are within that tag. So moving forward, if you want to keep using your existing skin and not have to change it, as long as you package up your Bootstrap 5 and scope it to the tags that are around your Plant and App elements, you would be able to combine the two.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's great. Thanks, Jim, for the tip. That's very, very, very useful.
I must confess, I haven't tried it. That's just logically how it should work. But we're thinking that because we have to use a corporate skin over which we are supposed to use the corporate elements on the skin that we use, and the institution is not moving to Bootstrap 5 in the foreseeable future. So we're looking at ways of combining this. The other thing is that 4 and 5 are not that far apart in most cases, so you can upgrade. You can just change the underlying CSS and JavaScript from Bootstrap 4 to Bootstrap 5, and most things will work, which prompted my question on Wednesday of what bits do you need specifically for Plant and App? Because in the past we tried to use a plain vanilla Bootstrap 3 package and not load Bootstrap 3 from within Plant and App, and that didn't always work because there were it seemed to be some slight tweaks in optimizations and changes in the Plant and App version of Bootstrap 3 that was being loaded that weren't always in the plain vanilla package. So it would be useful to know which bits are being used.
So, side story. Once a month, we get together as a team at Plant and App and have a team hangout. We play a few games to try and cover a world that, employees that are all over the world kind of get a chance to know each other. And then we talk about what's going on in our company. And there was a great question in the fun and games section of our hangout, which is, have you ever pretended to know something about something that you don't know anything about? And nobody really admitted to that, I suppose. But this is one of those areas I kind of understand conceptually and don't really know, right? That I don't. It starts to get deep for me. So Jim, thanks for that explanation. And if you ever have as you move forward with how you do that and scoping down, I think this group would get a benefit out of seeing what you did. Patrick, you were jumping in.
Oh no, I was just agreeing with you. Thank you, Jim, for that. That was very helpful. So
talking about the Bootstrap 3, yes, at some point that's going to go away, but not until a couple things have happened. One, that Bootstrap 5 is completely stable, which is what we're targeting for in our next release, version 1.20. It was experimental in 1.19. We're targeting stable and full, everything converted. But there was a lot of coding that had to happen. I would be surprised if there aren't corners of what we do that's going to have to be updated, either hot fixed or changed in 1.21. It's not it's just, so with that, we're not pulling support for Bootstrap 3. You can continue to run the product as you have on Bootstrap 3 forms, Bootstrap 3 options within the tools. But it's the direction we're going, and we're trying to give you the time to make the conversion. I hope I've represented that well. So it's likely to be many months until that is complete, and we'll specifically announce and give you notice that yes, this is actually going on.
Bill, I did add some issues in the beta program. Is that the place where I should add issues if I find one?
I'm sorry, where's the place?
In the beta testing section.
Yes, if you're part of our beta testing group, absolutely, that's a great place for that.
Because there are no predefined issues for stated, but I found some issues, so I reported them there.
Good. I'll make a point to call attention, make sure that I don't on the beta test issues. I'm not sure. I haven't used it enough to know the way that feedback happens on those, but I'll make sure that we're looking at those. And then you're always welcome to open a case for things that you find on, for example, console.planetapp.com.
Yes, I understand, but the issue of the advantage if you put them in the beta and then other people can see them, then would be beneficial, that you don't have to add multiple issues.
And I'm trying to, my recollection is that the beta period for reporting those, it opens and closes as we're doing beta testing.
Exactly. Therefore, I asked, is that still okay if I put them there? Because there's specific time frames for the beta program that it's open for open issues. But I'm not sure if that's the correct place.
That's a great question. So let's see. See if I can do this live here. Since it's my guess is that because it's not, I don't know. You'll have to tell me. I don't know if it's open for you to enter new things in there or not. If it's not, then the right answer is console.
Dale?
Yes, sir.
Ben has joined us. I think he might have an answer for that.
Well, thank you. I was looking for Ben. Couldn't.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, I love it if we get a great a professional answer. Question, Ben.
I will do my best, but I just came in, so I need to be brought up to speed.
The question is about whether the beta is the beta period closed. Can new issues be reported on beta testing site now, or only during the beta phase?
Right now, it's only during the beta. Well, soon there will be a new section for general bug reports. So after the beta closes, you'll be able to use that. I haven't gotten around to completing that area just yet, but it is in the works. It's planned, so it will be available soon.
Great, thanks. And sorry to put you on the spot just as you come in. I know how that feels, but so short term, the answer is do them on the console. We want to know, but
when I go to the beta program, I can still put in general issues. So I don't see a point there. It's when I go to 1.9 and then general bugs found, I can still add them.
Okay.
At this time, I think it would be better to put them in through console, because I can tell you from the product side, when the beta period is not open, those are not being monitored as quickly as as the items coming in through console. So for a faster response right now, I would say put them through console if it's something that needs to be addressed immediately.
No, in
Perfect way
this
of
case,
putting
of
it.
course, beta of Bootstrap 5 is still experimental, so it was not a big issue for me.
In any case, since you've called our attention to it, we will make sure to look at what's been reported.
Yes.
But if the original intention around the beta program was, while it was in beta, once it's released, then we would not be focused on that. And then, of course, so at version 120, which is coming up in a couple of weeks, whenever it goes into beta, then that window will reopen, and hopefully the bugs then that are reported there are related particularly to 120 and will be more stable.
Yes, because I found some critical issues, so therefore I reported them.
Good. We'll look through those, double check that those are things that we were already aware of, and if not, we'll get them into the mix. Thank you for calling attention to that.
I know I came in late and I apologize if this was already mentioned, but I do see that you have eliminating use of obsolete features up on the slideshow. Have you guys already discussed that topic?
Just very little. We brought up the idea that our obsolete features list, we have the suggested migration is now part of that documentation. We didn't get into any particular one. So if you've got one, we'll take it on.
Well, the only thing I was going to mention, because I know in Wednesday's meeting, there was a lot of questions regarding which ones were the obsolete ones. Is there an automatic way to identify them or migrate them and whatnot? I did work on a feature that will identify all of the obsolete and deprecated items. I started working on, at least with regards to the execute token and the what was the other one?
Inject data.
Inject data, to convert them automatically to apply token, or the equivalent, which is the create token. I just need to verify that what I did with that item was correct. So I figure that Patrick will probably be the best one to answer that question. But I don't know if this is something that would be helpful for the community. I mean, I can briefly show you what I have. What I tried to do is put it all into one action grid, so it's easily imported to any client that wants to use this to identify and fix those obsolete items.
So I would say yes. We've had and most of the product team is here with me, so correct me if I've made a mistake. We've had a discussion internally about providing such a tool, at least to the point of identifying. And first of all, I want to clarify: execute, the big one, execute token versus create update token. That one is used in so many places in our software and elsewhere that I just want to make sure our plan is to provide a migration for that at some point. So even if you don't convert them now, or use what Ben is suggesting to convert them, we're going to convert them. At this point, we're just obsoleting it, making it where you can't access it and don't use it going forward, but your old ones will continue to work. But we are going to migrate that. If you have a tool that migrates it early and you want to share it and provide it with the community, I think that'd be great. We're thinking in terms of providing a warning showing where the various features are used and getting you there, so that for the things that require manual migration, you can find them and not have it be a mystery as far as where they are inside the product.
Yeah, I mean, right now that's what the system that I've put together basically does. It identifies the type, whether it's obsolete or deprecated, the item type, whether it's an action or a field, and then gives you all the information of the module ID, the description you put on it, the action ID number, where it can be located in the form, along with a link to the edit version of that form. So you could click that link, it jumps you right to the form to make the appropriate modification.
Sounds
Yeah,
sounds
we
pretty,
would
pretty
love to
close.
get with you on that.
Sounds pretty close to what we wanted to do. If it's done already, that's great.
Yes.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, I have it set up so that at least with the execute and the inject data, it already does have a button to allow you to do an auto migrate. I don't know if there's any other locations other than the one action record, but I just basically converted the JSON and the action type from what it was to what it should be, and then adjusted the JSON accordingly. I don't know if there was anything else that needs to be done, but if that's all and I'm doing it correctly, I was looking to do it with all of the other ones as well. It just takes me time to figure out what the new format has to be modified to.
So I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you've got that in front and you want to show it, we would love to see it.
Sure.
And yeah, so let me stop share here, and I'm going to jump in and do that.
Okay, hopefully everyone can see my screen.
Yep.
Okay, so pretty simple. It's just an action grid. Like I said, I tried to incorporate everything into one module. That way it's just easy to import it. But it just gives you all the information here that, you basically need, whether what type, obsolete deprecation, if it's an action, or at the end, you'll see that I have some fields here. And this one's a deprecated as opposed to an obsolete. It gives you, the module ID, the type, what type of action it is, the description if you had put one in there, the action ID number, because we all see that, all of the actions have the number, so it can help us track it down quicker, what event you can find it in, and then the section that it's in. And these are all clickable. So if I click it, it'll open up a new tab in edit mode. So the one that I just clicked for argument's sake is, it's an inject data, action ID 86, and a click event. So obviously it's in a button. So, unfortunately you can't see exactly what button, and maybe I can enhance that later to give a little bit more information, but there it is, 86. And now I know this is the one that I need to go and fix. However, like I said, there's this auto update. So because I already have the code in there, if I'm doing it correctly, I tested it out, it looked fine. I don't know if there's any other dependencies other than that one record in there, but if that's all that's needed for the change, then the code here actually does the update for you. At least, like I said, when it comes to inject data and for the execute token.
So the idea would be, once those are resolved, either manually or auto, that this warning,
they drop off this list. Yeah, they won't be here anymore.
Warning list would go to 0, and you know that you're safe to proceed.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, so I know you have ongoing discussions with Bogdan, and I would suspect that, this is exactly where we want to go. So whether it is something that you share with the community or share with us, and it becomes official, this is the direction that we wanted to head as a product team. Absolutely. I love it. You're an overachiever, Ben.
Who's going to give Ben a round of applause here for that?
I do my best.
Going to be very nice to have and use.
There's a reaction button. Yep. Okay, that works. Cool. All right, I'm going to take that back from you, Ben. So, we're telling where you want, where we think that you should go, the correct migration. Some of those are going to have to be manual, and I don't know if I'm brave enough to even mention it, but I will, whatever.
Some on those lists are, I suppose, easily done automatically.
Yes.
For instance, that are here on the list are manual, but I don't see a point why they are manual, because it's easy to do them automatically. For instance, when you look at the issue with yes/no form fields, I would think that migration would be possible to do that automatically. I don't. Well, some people use those things perhaps quite often, but I was wondering why can't the update script do them automatically?
So in this particular case, I'm bringing the news. I wasn't part of the discussion, and I don't want to put my compatriots on the spot. If they happen to know, that would be great. I suspect there was
because they are so easy to do. So therefore, I think, well, they're easy. Why not?
Well, I can't speak to the individual reasons for each one necessarily, but I know that we went through the list with the development team as to which ones we thought would be problematic. So if there's any specific ones, if you want to reach out to me in the chat on the side or something and let me know which ones you think would not be as difficult, I can have them re-review those. And if you'd like, we can try and get you a reason why certain ones are more difficult than others.
Oh yeah, this I will send some over to you.
Okay.
Well, I don't mind doing them manually, but I was just wondering why not automatically, because it looks very easy.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know enough of the development side to get into the nuts and bolts of each of them, but I do know that they did review all of these, and we tried to do the automatic migrations for everyone possible. But yeah, I can have them. We can get together, and I can let you know what's the issue on them, and have them relook at them and see if there's some other way that they could go ahead and accomplish the automatic migration.
And of course, for some of them, it's not a matter of that we we're not going to. It's just that it's at this point, we can't, like the inject data one. We're committed to doing that in the future. But yeah. I agree with
and then, Peter, I'd be interested to know, do you say that because you have a lot of these that the manual migration becomes onerous, or is it just?
No, I was just browsing to the list of obsolete features, and I stumbled across some of them and say, wow, okay, manual, why not automatic? So that's the only, I was surprised. That's not more than that.
And again, I wasn't part of the meeting, but I can meetings on this. I suspect, in addition to places where there are difficulties, there's also a value judgment trying to figure out where we spend our resources to make things happen. So if we
I understand that. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think. I could tell you many of them had to do with like actions between actions, like actions embedded within actions that would be commonly used. And that added a whole other level of complexity on trying to migrate some of these.
So meaning, like, for example, an execute actions stack of actions.
Right.
There's an execute actions or execute actions on a list that have embedded actions, and that's what you're talking about, that multi-level adds.
That I know those were one. That is one I specifically can say that introduced a level of complexity that we didn't feel comfortable making the decisions for people. There was too much risk in trying to do it automatically for some of these.
Yeah, so there's risk. There is some things that have been in the product for a very long time that our perception is that they are relatively unused. And if we get one of those wrong, that's an issue. If it's a it's a huge feature that everybody's using and it would be worth us to invest in, we'll love to do that. But if we're right, it's just a question of where do we spend our resources. And there's 3 people using it 3 times, for example, then it's not worth building an automatic migration for. So that's my interpretation. That's a Dale Warner opinion, not a Clinton Apple.
I think from our point of view, it's bad enough having to do upgrades anyway, and it's always fills us with fear and trepidation. But to know that when we do a particular one, it will actually go in and start messing about with what we've set up automatically is even more scary. So I think having automatic migration, automatic upgrades is great, and what Ben's done is ideal because it gives me visibility and I know exactly what's being upgraded, and I can go in and check that it's that the fix is what I wanted. Because very often people do odd things with JavaScript that are linked to fields that I'm not sure how any automatic checker would find. So I like that. I from my point of view, I like it to be automatic, but under my control.
Yeah, that's what most of the ones that are going to be automatic are something that was just a straightforward switch this to this. When there are additional settings, you may have, like you had mentioned, if you've got JavaScript involved, we don't feel comfortable deciding for people what that's going to do.
Yeah.
There was, in the case we've touched on execute token, for example, there were at least 3 ways of setting a context token. And there might have been more, I don't know, but that's part of why. It didn't make sense for us to be supporting it in 3 different ways in 3 different parts of code. So we're bringing it down to the one most flexible, and then eliminating the others, and those that happen to not have to do with JavaScript. So things like that. And then again, getting rid of things that are easily done in other ways and are uncommonly used. So anyway, one of the ones that we're trying very hard and spending a lot of time to get right. See, I'm going to wade in, even though nobody's asking the question. Is the date time picker, and trying to make it easy to use and better than it's been in the past. And one of those we know is that a lot of people interact with those by JavaScript. It's been harder than it needs to be, and from a conversion standpoint, the JavaScript that existed wouldn't. It's going to be different. So that'll again be one of those that we'll be talking about in the weeks to come as why that's going to need to be manual, and how to go about that. So I think the good news is the product is getting better. The bad news is change is a pain, right? All right. Anything else? We're coming to the end of our hour, but there's still a chance if somebody's got something that they're working on that you want to ask for help with.
Hi, Dale. Jerry here.
Hey, Jerry.
Hey, this is not a question, just a little bit of a FYI. I got an email a couple days ago that EasyDNN Solutions has enhanced all of their skins to Bootstrap 5. Not trying to do a sales marketing so much for them, but I just happen to use the Ozone 2 skin quite a bit, and I've been panicking a little bit because it was Bootstrap 4. But it appears that the boys over at EasyDNN have decided to join us in the Bootstrap 5 world. So if for some reason you're considering a new theme or skin that might play nice with Planta app, that might be an option. I'll be doing some thorough testing on it on my end, and I'll report back later and let you know what I find.
Good, thanks. That's just the kind of thing. Again, we're not promoting products or endorsing products, but appreciate, it's a good share of information among this group.
That's a helpful tip, Jerry. Thank you.
Yeah. And on final note, Ben's a genius, by the way. He just proved himself worthy today, no doubt. Keep him around. that was amazing. That really was amazing. I'm real curious, Ben, on after the campfire. So I'd love to know what goes on behind that green button that says auto update. That would be exciting to see that code. Is it all SQL level, or is he doing something else? Who knows? Will he ever tell? There you go.
Very good. All right, let's see. I think I even have a call for last call. No, I don't know. Anyway, so we'll get together again next Friday, 10 Central. We'll do this again. As always, I learn as much from this as I hope you guys do. It's very helpful to have the conversation. And with that, if you want, hang around for a few minutes and we'll do the Afterglow segment, but happy low coding. See you next week.